look at the time. Hi, my name is Mistress GraziaGeralda. I'm from the Mid-Realm, Pentamere region, which is Michigan, which is the mitten. Um, and I'm going to do a class right now on largesse. And in this instant, largesse refers to small gifts given out by nobility and royalty to the populace for various and sundry reasons. We're going to talk about reasons, we're going to talk about kinds of largesse, and we're going to talk about how to get them, how to make them, how to acquire them, and how to present them. I highly recommend the follow-up class, which is Royal Gifts, after you've seen this class, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, largesse, as I said, pretty much means small gifts that the nobility, usually royalty, give out to their population. It comes in all shapes and sizes, from tossing gold foil wrapped chocolates to the populace as they walk in or out of court, to things a little more elaborate. 99 to 100% of largesse is gifted to the nobility and the royalty by the populace. Groups, be they shires, baronies, households, and individuals, get together and decide they want to make something for the royalty to give out as gifts. These are amazingly diverse. And the first thing we're going to talk about is food and soaps and things that are in contact with your body, like balms and stuff. The reason why I want to talk about this is they're a great idea, but not a great idea. We have allergies, we have likes and dislikes, and we have shelf life of the items. I have seen bars of soap sitting in the stashes of royalty for years. Same bar of soap, where it was never given out. One reason why things like this are not given as gifts is because there's nothing telling people what's in them. We have too many allergies going on, too many sensitivities, too many particulars where people say, no, I don't like mint, or I don't like chamomile, or I'm allergic to, and you know, I'm a vegan, so don't use tallow. So there's all kinds of things going on. So if you are going to give a gift of food of any sort, be it jams, jellies, vinegars, soaps, bruise balm, anything, put a label on it that says what's in it, and put the label on the container. Don't include it as a tag that'll get ripped off. Don't include it as a something that's stuffed in the bag with the container of food or what have you. Put it on the actual container. We had actually asked for some bruise balm for Crown Tourney gifts, and she gave them to us in this lovely small container, which is a great container for this kind of stuff. But the piece of paper that she had all the information written on was easily detachable from the container. She'd have been better off if she'd actually pasted it on the container itself. That's what you should do, because if we're looking at, and by we, I mean the staff of the royalty, if we're looking for something like bruise balm, and we know it's bruise balm, but we don't know what's in it, we can't use it. We can't give it to somebody because it might contain something that they're very much allergic to. So if you're going to do it, please make sure that all of the ingredients are listed permanently on the container, or as permanently as you can find. So that's my information on food and soaps and balms and salves and hand cream and that kind of stuff. It's great, but uh, it's got limitations, a lot of limitations. So that's my thing on Bruise Balm. That's actually, other than the foods and stuff, the sky's the limit as to what you can make or give. Now I worked with uh, Ronvalder and Arabella in the Middle Kingdom, 3 different reigns. And by the third reign, we had it down to a science. The group of people that were helping them had it down to a science as far as getting things ready for different courts and things that we had to do. And one of the things that we got ready was um, general handouts, like, okay, she's going to A&S competition. Let's give her tokens that she can put down on things at the different A&S competitions, as the different entries. Well, one day we got this box, a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller than a shoe box. We opened it up, and it was filled with some 200 bookmarks. And the great thing was, it was a shire or something that had done this for her. And everybody took part, because there were metal bookmarks, there were leather bookmarks, there were tons of band woven and card woven bookmarks, and there were even bookmarks done by the calligraphers and illuminators on pieces of parchment. So there were all kinds of bookmarks, all kinds of artisans took part in this particular project. I just have a few examples. And like I said, there were about like 200 of these. It was amazing. And we went through the majority of them. And this was an embroidered one that we got. So there's, bookmarks are a great idea, and it's something that your whole household or your whole group can get involved in, and it'll work out where everybody takes part in this gift, rather than one person sitting at home doing it all. Let me adjust this. There we go. So, we just love the bookmarks. Now, there's some people that don't use bookmarks, and some people that don't like bookmarks, but I like them. I don't use them, but I like them. And everybody that we gave them to seemed pleased. So, the other thing that's pretty easy, and again, you're looking for unisex type stuff, which bookmarks are. Another thing that can be unisex is jewelry. At least in the SCA, jewelry can be very unisex. Something as simple as copper bracelet or armlet, depending on how big you make it. Make it as an armlet for a woman, a bracelet for a man. This is easy. Anybody, you do not have to be a metal worker to do this. You have to know how to hit something with a hammer in order to make something like this. So this is something that just about anybody can try their hand at. This is a lovely piece of Viking wire weaving necklace, which is a lot more work. But if you've got somebody who wants to do it, or decides we're going to do a class, but everybody's going to donate what they made, and then we'll have 5 or 6 chains of wire weaving that we can give. That's a great idea too. Now there's all kinds of YouTube videos of things you can do with wire and beads. Here's a dangle for to hang off of your Viking beads on your Viking apron. And again, it's just that was just copper wire, as is this. It's a nice penambular. There's not a lot of bulk until you put the beads on, and very easy to make. All you need is a needle nose pliers. Now this is a little more involved, but I know there are videos out there to show you how to make these. And it's a wire wrap ring. You find yourself some nice beads, and these are very nice rings. And nice thing about rings is they're going to fit on some finger on just about anybody. So, you know, this one would be a thumb ring for me, but for a guy, it would... I'm sorry, I just had a telephone call, but we're going to get back to where we were. We were talking about jewelry. All kinds of things that you can do with jewelry. Like I said, the wire work, all you need is a nice set of needle nose pliers and YouTube or somebody who already knows how to do it, and a box of beads. And you can come up with a whole bunch of things that are very, like I said, unisex. And so you don't have to worry about who's getting what. So that's the thing with jewelry. Now, also kind of jewelry. In the Middle Kingdom, one of our traditions is when someone gets an AOA, they get some kind of a circlet. Now, this one is leather. It's just a plain leather circlet with a little bit of tooling. I think they might have actually tooled and then cut it. And one size fits all in the back. This is something that can be made in bulk if you've got a tradition like this in your kingdom. And they run out of circlets. I know that in the mid-realm, it's been, you know, talk to so-and-so because we need more circlets kind of a thing. Circlets don't have to be leather. They can be metal. And they can be wire work as well. There's all kinds of things you can do as far as circlets are concerned. Check your sumptuary laws because you want something that anybody can wear. So, you know, no crenellations or strawberry leaves or things like that. But circlets, very nice, very easy thing to do. Now, candles are great. We all use candles because most of our feasts do allow candlelight. So we're all using candles. If you know a beekeeper, go to town. A lot of times there are places where you can get beeswax pretty darn cheap. Just plain tapers. People love them. They're beautiful. You give them in pairs, and it's very calming making candles. Dipping candles is kind of calming, and it's something that a group of people can do. If you don't think you have the equipment, I will tell you that my family made candles one year for Christmas presents, and my father soldered together 2 coffee cans, and we took the frying pan and filled it with water, and that's how we melted the wax in the coffee cans. And then we just took the wicks and dipped the candles. So you don't need a lot of equipment. You really don't. You don't need specific equipment. It's amazing what you can figure out. And it's, again, something where you can have several stations going. And so a group of people can do this, or one person can do this. But candlesticks are really, really nice. And there's something that everybody in the SCA is going to use. Chocolate. Got to be careful with chocolate. Chocolate for Pensick in August, not a good idea. Really not. Chocolate in the summertime is a no-no. Chocolate for 12th night, go for it. You shouldn't have a problem at all with chocolate at 12th night. However, I do recommend wrapping them in some kind of cellophane. If you don't do a little cellophane bag, a candy cellophane bag is better actually than tin foil, because you put the tin foil in your pouch, it can still melt through the tin foil packaging. So be careful with chocolates and think about where they're going to be given out. Toys, are really good, and we're going to talk about toys in a little bit. Um, okay, let's see. Token holders, that was a goodie. At first, we didn't quite know what we were looking at when we got these as a gift. When the royalty got these as a gift, and I'm going to give you a close-up. You can see that's a lobster claw clasp there, and on a band woven or a card woven piece, and you just hang your token from there, which would be really nice for like your Pennsic token, which you have to have at all times. So this is a nice little thing. It's a token holder. Now, in the area, while you have your bead box out for your jewelry, think about prayer beads, paternosters. This is the easiest one. It's called a Madeleine. It's documented unbelievably. All it is 3 large beads and 20 small beads and 2 tassels. Now, when it comes to tassels, go to the upholstery department and look at their trim, because they've got tons of trim that is nothing but tassels. And all of those tassels can be made into individual tassels. So I usually go to one of our reupholstery stores, and they always have a bag of remnants, you know, a basket or a bag or a box of remnants of trim. And invariably there's going to be trim in there that's tassel trim. And so now I've cut my price unbelievably. And I've got a wide selection of tassels, which is really nice. This is another tassel taken from tassel trim. Now this one is a little more involved prayer bead rosary. This is more specific, so you might want to do a little research into rosaries, into prayer beads, before you decide what kind you want to make. I highly recommend the Madeleine because it covers a lot of time periods and a lot of areas in Europe. So these are prayer beads, and it's also a nice gift. In our kingdom, the king and queen usually give a medallion of some sort when they give an award. There's a couple of tackle boxes full of medallions, and before they go to court, the people that are helping them will go through the court list and say, okay, we need 6 circlets for AOAs. We're going to need so many willows, so many purple frets, so many of whatever, and they go through the box and they pick out the ones that they're going to give. Now, here's some examples. This one is metal. It's a pewter. It's a pewter piece. You know, this is probably your high intensity work. Although once you have the mold made, it's not so hard. Here's the same award, only it's done on leather, and they got a stamp. So once you get a stamp, as far as leather is concerned, the sky's the limit. You can be making these all day. This one is painted on leather, and I'm not sure what this is. Wood? Maybe. Painted on wood. But depending on what the devices are for your various kingdom awards, that's also a nice thing to give if that's what your kingdom does. If you're going to have something like medallions, another nice gift, another nice piece of largesse, is cording. So that's basically get out the kumihimo, get out the lucettes, get out the braidings of whatever kind you want to do, and go to town. Yards of this gets used, and it's not just for wearing around your neck. It's for things like drawstrings, Lacing. These are great for lacings because they've got texture and they don't slip and they don't come untied. So yards and yards of this. If you're going to give it as a gift as largesse, I would say a minimum of 2 yards. Anything less than that, it's hard to find something to do with it other than drawstrings on a very small pouch. Speaking of which, if you're in the SCA, you know that you use pouches a lot. And as far as largesse is concerned, you can make them very simply. This one is very, very easy. We've got 5 tassels, 6 tassels. But these tassels are all taken from tassel trim. This is a piece of remnant of upholstery fabric, a plain lining, and some cording. And it's all store-bought cording. It's not handmade cording. So this is a very low cost, very simple to do. You can whip these up on the machine. You can get a couple of people over and somebody does the cutting, somebody does the sewing, and somebody adds the tassels and trim and stuff, and you've got no problem. And I will tell you that, I don't know if you can see it or not, but those aren't buttonholes. That's just slits that the drawstring is put through. Now, the opposite end of that is something as lovely as a lovely hand-knitted pouch. We thought these were beautiful. And she did make these tassels to go with it. But a lovely hand-knitted pouch. This you're not going to be making in bulk, but 5 or 6 of these is a nice gift to give. So that's another possibility. Games are great. Games are easy. Look at all the different medieval board games and see how you can make them what I call down and dirty, which usually means easy and cheap. Something as simple as a 9-man Morris board drawn on a piece of fabric. You put the pieces inside, in the middle of it, and tie up the 4 corners. There it is. It doesn't get much easier than that. It really doesn't. The price of colored sliding stones is not great, and you can get muslin anywhere. So look at the different games that are available and go for it. They're very nice. Now, you can also make a nicer board out of wood or something like that, but it can be the sublime to the ridiculous. Get as creative as you possibly can. What you need is a lot of brainstorming before you go ahead and decide what you're going to do and then do it. But games are great. Now we're going to talk about like specific gifts for specific people. It's still largesse because we're not talking huge things. We're talking something to give, something for the royalty to give to the primary cooks of a feast. Now, we came up with something very simple. And I'll tell you, muslin bags are really great because you can do something nifty with them. You can actually write, "Thank you, Romwalder and Arabella," on them. And it works very well. It's very nice. And inside, for the cooks, we have a small salt pot. Hang on, put it over on this side. A small salt dip. In here is a plastic bag filled with salt. A little rough salt, like a coarse ground kosher. And there used to be, it's not in here anymore, there used to be a small salt spoon made out of a horseshoe nail because we had a blacksmith. And this was a gift that was given to cooks when the royalty was at a feast. That's a very specific gift that was very much appreciated, and it was a nice thought. saying thank you is very nice, and that's what largesse is. It's a tangible way of saying thank you. Um, Now, a lot of people gleefully volunteer, to make clothes for royalty and for baron and baronesses. I was actually helping out in the East, even though I'm a mid-realmer, uh, when people were working on matching cloaks for the baron and baroness. Um, Now, this is a very simple, these are called housewives, dating back to World War I, where basically it took the place of the housewife for the soldier. Can you see it? Okay, I pull it out and it's attached. But inside we have pins and needles. This is a very simple one. It's got pins and needles all in a folder that then fits into a bag. I gotta hold this up for you. It fits into a bag. You pull this and it's through and neat.
There were collapsible scissors in there.
And there were collapsible scissors in there. So, it's nice. It's a nice little gift. Very simple to make. Make it out of scrap everything. Scrap everything. The only thing you're costing is your collapsible scissors. Everything else you're taking out of your own sewing box. Now, a more involved one is this one, which has ties, as you can see. When you open it up, inside you have basically a little needle book, a thread ribbon. You can pull in, this is so loosely woven that you can pull individual threads out, and you've got all the colors in the world as far as repair work goes. And you can get these on a lot of different sites of mail order sites that have a lot of little shocksy kind of things. I also have a snippers, a needle threader, can you see it, and a small piece of wax that's in wax paper to keep it nice. So, and putting your wax in wax paper is very nice if you live in the South, because if it's true beeswax, it's going to melt whether you want it to or not. There's all different kinds of patterns and ideas for these little housewives. And I don't know a single sewer who doesn't love having these. I've got like 3 or 4 myself, just because I like them. And I usually end up, if I see them, I'll buy one. So, and it's got, hang on and I'll show you in a second, it's got 2 ties of ribbon. Like that. So, that's a lovely gift for people who make clothes for royalty. And making clothes for royalty is a job and a half. Usually there's something very elaborate involving handwork, and it's a nice thing to be able to say thank you with a gift. So having a dozen of these stashed is not a bad idea as far as something for royalty to give to the people who help make them look beautiful. In the Middle Kingdom, we've had a tradition for some years now of boxes at the end of court. And these boxes, one of them is for the children. And in there are toys, all kinds of toys, making toys that you can buy and toys that you can make. Sometimes the toys are very simple, just a flat piece of felt stuffed dragon. Again, the games. The kids can play just about all of the medieval games. So think about the games. And some of the sites that I'm going to give you as far as purchasing things have great deals on things like wooden toys, like tops, balls, those things with the ball and the stick that you catch the ball on the stick. I know they're called something, but I'm not sure what they are. Anyhow, there are places where you can get these things and fill up a box full of toys, and the royalty invites the children at court to come up and take a toy. And they love it. The kids love it. The royalty loves it. The populace loves it. It's a nice thing. Sometimes they are so tiny when they walk up there, because we're building more and more children into the SCA, and I think it's a wonderful thing. Another thing that we've started doing is inviting the scribes that have done the scrolls that were presented that day up in court. And this box is another box, and it is filled with all kinds of art supplies. It's filled with pen nibs. It's filled with ink. It's filled with sometimes paints, brushes, fine brushes. If you can find fine brushes at a decent price, it's great. One thing I put in the box when I set it up was chopstick rests, just the little porcelain chopstick rests, which, if you're an artist, you know that is great for resting your paintbrush. You know where it is, and it's not going to get all over everything, and it's not going to get messed up. Little chopstick rests, and you can get them very cheap, and people love it. Brush soap. If you go to an art supply store, you can get soap that is specifically for your paintbrushes. And if you can only get a large piece of it, cut it up. That's not a big deal. Just cut it up and package it up, put a little note on it saying what it is, and put it in the box. So this is one of the boxes that we have at the end of court for people. A few years back, don't know who it was, but one of our kings decided he wanted to give something to people who were attending their first court. And he would call them up, and he would give them a cup or a goblet, some kind of drinking vessel. This was a high demand on drinking vessels, and believe me, the potters went a little crazy. Everybody was looking through their stashes to see which ones they would not mind, that they would give for the cause. And it's been a tradition for a while now, and it's really lovely. It makes first-timers know that they're welcome. And I'd be willing to bet that those things stay in feast chests for years. This is the one that was given to me by the king at my first court. So we have a few other things here that I haven't shown you. Especially for Penzic, if it's a Penzic rain. This is one of those things where, guess what it is? Okay, if I take it and I do this with it, you might get an idea what it is. This band is filled with the little beads that hold cold water when you dunk the whole thing in cold water, and it stays cold for a long, long time on your neck. Fighters love them. This is another thing that would be a lot of people getting together with a lot of sewing machines and just cranking them out. I don't know how many hundreds were made for one particular reign, but this is a great gift, and the fighters will love you for it. Not only the fighters, but the water bearers, the marshals. Anybody that's standing in the sun will go a little crazy if they get something like this. It's one of those things that doesn't just get tossed away, it gets used, and it gets used a lot. And then we come to, I haven't forgotten, Um, Several years back, Ron Valder and Arabella were on the throne for God help us the third time. And they decided that one of the things they wanted to give to the combatants and the consorts, that's the word, to the combatants and the consorts was covers for chalices or mugs. So I said to my friend Artie, we need 50, because we had 25 combatants, we need 50 goblet covers. And Artie, who's just about as crazy as I am, said, sure, no problem. And she proceeded to cut out a lot of circles, put them on the serger with a little bit of fuzzy thread, and serge all the way around the circle. And then she got out her box of beads and my box of beads and any other beads we could find, and put, was it 6 or 8 dangles off to weigh down the goblet cover. I don't think she was done with it when we said, Artie, could we have another 50, because we're going to give these to the kings and queens of the known world at Penzic. So she cut some more circles. And then it was, Artie, while you're cutting circles, could we have another 50? We used almost all of them. It was amazing. They're perfect gifts. They are, again, anybody who has a Coke can, because believe me, bees and wasps can get into your Coke can, or your chalice, or your mug, or your tankard. These are extremely useful little things. And they take up no room, which is wonderful. They take up no room at all. They just fold up and get stuck in your empty mug. So they're great. They're absolutely wonderful. She made, like I said, about 150 of these things before the reign was over, and we went through all of them. They were given as gifts all over the place, and it's something that people use and like, and remember that they got it from the king and queen. It was a nice gift. So let's see, what have we talked about? I think I've gotten to everything that's on the table, and this is just a small sampling of the things that we got. One thing that was interesting was a box of spices, and they were spices that you wouldn't find all the time, and they were in small bottles, labeled, and it was a perfect other kind of gift for a head cook. You can, if you are a feastocrat, if you do head cooking, this is something where take the spices that you bought and take the leftovers and put them in the small bottles and make up a couple of sets to give to the next royalty and say to them, give these to the cook of your favorite feasts. And it's a nice gift, especially if you can pop for something like the more outstanding, not easily available spices like grains of paradise or saffron, star anise, all kinds of things that you can put in there. Stuff that you can't usually get at Kroger's. So that's another interesting thing to do. Now, you want to know where I'm getting all of these things from. A lot of it is stuff you make. Okay, so you do go out and you do buy the thread to do the band weaving, to do the card weaving. But you also ask people for their scrap fabric to make the pouches. If you're going to be doing the wet bands for the entire Callantyre army, you're going to have to go to the fabric store and get it. You're going to have to hit the sales. And you're going to have to buy the little gel beads that hold the water. So you got to start thinking, where do you shop? And you have to like to shop. You have to like to leaf through catalogs. because if you don't, then it becomes a job and it's not fun anymore. We do these things because we enjoy doing them. At least I really enjoy shopping. So some of the mail orders that are online are Oriental Trading Company, which has tons of stuff and tons of toys. Rhode Island Novelty, which is another one very much like Oriental Trading, and Wish. Now with Wish, you have to be careful. Wish will show you 5 things, like 5 bottles, but the price is only for 1 bottle. And you have to check what the postage is going to cost you, what the shipping is going to cost you. Sometimes they'll say something's free, but the shipping is $2. And that shipping is for every individual piece. If you want 10 of them, it's $2 times 10. So you have to look very carefully when it comes to Wish. But it is a great place for little bottles or tubs or things like this. Little containers. It's amazing. Almost everything is done in centimeters on Wish, so get your rulers out.
Snippies.
You can also get snippies. Yeah, a lot of times. And they're very cheap on Wish. Even with the, you can get them, if you look carefully and you do your shopping, you can get them for like $1 a piece. But you've got to carefully shop on Wish. But the snippies are great. They also occasionally have really good deals on nice scissors. Nice small embroidery scissors and even bigger scissors. And fancy scissors and fancy needle cases. So all kinds of interesting things. Joann Fabrics. Oh, I love Joann Fabrics. Less a fabric store than it used to be. But everything's on sale all the time. You get there when they start putting the seasonal stuff on sale, it's amazing what you can come up with. And if you get there at the right time, you can buy large quantities of this stuff for next to nothing. So Joann Fabrics is a great place to go for a lot of things you'd never believe you could get in a fabric store. Michael's is also another great place, and they have really great sales. And then there's the dark horse, estate and garage sales. Do not knock estate and garage sales. At estate and garage sales, you can get a leather skirt for $5. A leather skirt can make a lot of pouches. Really nice pouches out of really nice leather. Sometimes you can find actual yardage. Or you can find really nice linen tablecloths with holes in them. Or napkins with holes in them that can be made into goblet covers. Or pouches. You can find upholstery fabric sometimes. I know in my basement there's a roll of upholstery fabric that probably will never get used. And when I'm gone and there's an estate sale, somebody's going to snatch that baby up. And they're going to say, yes, I can use this to make pouches. So hit the estate sales, hit the garage sales. It's amazing what you can find. Be creative. It really helps if you're really creative because you can take stuff and turn it into stuff that nobody would ever think it should be used for. If you have a tradition like giving the goblets, if your Baron and Baroness have this tradition of giving goblets to new people, it's amazing the kind of tankards and goblets and very rustic looking mugs that you can find at garage sales and estate sales. I actually found a beautiful drinking horn at one. And they didn't know what they had, so they kind of gave it to me for a couple of bucks. That makes it even better. Believe me, when you get it for a couple of bucks, that makes it even better. Some things you might want to do out of pocket. out of your own pocket. Other things you might want to say to your group, to your household. I would like to lead a team doing such and such, and I think it's going to cost this much. Can I have the funds? Can we, this is what I expect to spend. Can I have the funds? Or however your group handles money situations. So, let's see. I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I haven't forgotten anything. Hopefully. Okay, we talked about food. We talked about bookmarks, which I love. Candles, chocolate, toys. Yeah, cooks and sewers, and the boxes at the end of court. Okay, you have my email. Any questions, any suggestions? If you've got suggestions for other kinds of largesse, please let me know, because I'll add it to my list and I will talk about it, because I seem to have a capacity for talking. If you see me at Penzic, next year I will be running this class at Penzic, and you can actually touch the things that I've got.
Come see us out at Shadow Plans at the cathedral.
And you can come to the cathedral at Shadow Clans, because I'm going to be there. So, enjoy the lockdown. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I'll see you next year at Penzic. Call if you have any questions. And thank you very much.